Hey guys, so now here comes the hard part. So we're in Logix 2 and we're trying to convert complicated circuits into a program that the PLC can understand. So here's our old motor logic, and what I want to get you to understand is sometimes it's better to take this and put it on paper as far as what the PLC would see, but you need to understand the language. So let's go through this. If I had to label these, we know that this is, just for the sake of saying this is going to be I0.0, I0.1, two inputs. We know that we're going to be using this CR as a memory bit, so we're going to call this our first memory bit. Call that MO. We'll deal with this later. So we come down the line, this CR controls this, we'll call this M0, which means this is going to be M0, which means that's going to be M0. Now we've got this float switch that's basically going to act like a relay. There's a normally open and a normally closed, which means when this water level goes up, this will open, that'll close. It's going to act just like a relay. We're eventually going to make that an input. I'll show you that in a minute. We come down here. We know that we want these solenoids to energize, so these are actually going to be outputs. So we're going to call this Q0.0. That's our first solenoid. Q0.1. We want the mixer motor to come up as an output. Q0.2. And we want the timing delay relay that's actually going to be a memory bit. Because remember our other video, our timing relays have to be tied into a memory bit. So since I used up this first memory bit, we're going to call this one M1. Now, any memory bit that has one name has to also have the contacts associated with it to be called that same name. So this TR, now this TR, and this TR contact, and this TR contact all become M1s. That's a normally closed one. That's a normally closed one. That's a normally open one. And then last, certainly not least, we have one more output that we're going to call Q0.3, because we already used up Q0.2. So now we've got some items that are listed. We need one more item. We're going to call this an input. Now, the way this is going to react is when I hit a button, it's going to allow both of these to open. I'll show you how that's going to work on this drawing to the right of me. So because I already used up input 1, we're going to use this float switch as input 2. So what I'm going to do is just down here, I'm going to bring it down here. Input 2 is going to be used, and it's going to be tied into a memory bit, and we already used up 2 of them, so this will be the M2, which would be the third memory bit. So now this M2 has a name tied into this input that we're going to tie into a switch. I'll show you that in a minute. So now this M2 is going to go over here. M2, M2. Then we've got one more input that we could use for the overload. So the last one we ended up with was I0.2. So we're going to have I0.3 be another button again, and it's going to be tied into M3 memory bit, and we're going to call that overload. So now how do we draw this out? Because right now this is still not quite going to work for our PLC, and the best way of doing this is to make a line exactly as you see it. Remember, this is going to be our overload, so we'll call this M3. Make a line exactly as you see it. So now I'm going to show you what the PLC will see. We're going to go like this. Open. That's how we're going to build it in our program. We're going to come over here. Remember, the overload has to come first. We're going to make it open because we're going to use the switch in the on position. Come over here, And once again, this will be MO, this will be M3, this will be I0.0, I0.1, MO. There's our first rung. This represents this. Our second rung, we're gonna make an open, a closed, and then a coil. We can't do parallel coils on the PLC. It doesn't like it, so I'll show you what we're gonna do. We're gonna make this line, then we're gonna repeat this line and come down to here. So we're gonna go open, close, close, coil, open, closed, closed, coil. So let's bring these names over. MO, M2, M1, MO, M2, M1, and then Q0.0. MO, M2, M1, Q0.0. Now, we're going to repeat this line and just add this to it after, without this. So we're going to do it again. MO, M2, 1. So this will be Q0.1. Same setup, MO, M2, M1. MO, M2, M1. Now we got both of them coils on different rungs. So now we've got 1, 2, 3 rungs. 1, 2, 3 rungs. Now we're going to come down to the next line. It's going to be open, open, closed, coil. Open, open, closed, coil. So this is Q0.2. We know this is M1, and it's a closed contact belonging to the timer. We know that this is an open contact. And we know that's an open contact. Now we've got to do the same sequence here, but now come down to the timer. And this is the tricky little thing how these timers get built. So we're going to go open, 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 open. Now we're going to a timer. So on the computer that looks square. You might remember that. And the first timer always used is TMO. This is a timed on, so we're going to go TMO. We know it's a timed on. We'll bring that timer up, and now this is going to get tied into a memory bit. All timers get tied into memory bits. We know that this memory bit is going to be tied into M1. So far, so good. So now we just did this rung. Now we've got to do this rung. Open, open, coil. Oh, let's not, can't forget to label these. So let's go back up to this line. This was MO, this was M2. Now we go another rung. MO, M1, coil. So this will be open, open, coil. Open, open, coil. This is M1, this is M0, open, open, Q, open, open, Q. Now we've got two other ones to do. We got to do the overload input. We could put this anywhere. So we're going to go open, memory bit. So we're going to go open, actually we need two opens on here because we need the MO here. That's part of that control relay. So we got to go open, open, M3, and that's going to be another input. So this was part of the control relay. This is going to be input 3 to control my overload. because I've already used up the first, the other two, first two inputs. And that's input 3. This is going to be my overload. And that's why I'm calling that. I'm going to be able to trigger that. And now my last one, open input, M2 is my float switch. I need to be able to simulate that. So we're going to go open, which is MO, open, which will be I0.2, to M2, which is acting as my float. Now it's important that you sketch these out. Remember where these M2 belong? They belong to the float switch. So we're actually got to turn this into this so that the PLC can actually be happy with that. Now in the next video, we're going to put this into the computer and I'll show you how that's going to work.